Missed a video this morning, but what a better time to do a video than right now. Crypto falling this evening. This is the 4-hour chart zoomed in on total crypto market cap. You can just see it right there. This is the Bitcoin chart on the daily. Nice red candle there on the daily as Bitcoin falls below 57, hovering around 56. I think we wicked down to in the 55s. We're going to talk about these charts. A lot to talk about in terms of crypto in general. So please hit the subscribe, hit the like on the way in, and chill out. Take a deep breath, relax. Let's look at some data. Let's look at this. We know that rate cuts are coming. We know historically September is not a good day for, or not a good month for markets. We know there's a ton of unknown and ton of fear in the markets right now, and markets are reacting. We're going to look at all of these types of things, but in the technical analysis part of the video, we're actually going to put these things aside and just look at market structure. And we're going to use the very simple, unemotional roadmap that is before us, that is the charting data. And it's going to be very helpful. But before I do that, I have so many tabs open. I want to try and take an organic approach to explaining where my head is at right now. So a couple headlines. Over $1 trillion was wiped out from US stock market today. Over $1 trillion. That's basically half of crypto market cap. That's crazy when you think about it. Nvidia, they had the largest market cap drop ever in a single day for a public company on no news. Then subpoena news hits after hours. So many people with so very deep pockets had this info well in advance of the general public. One of the most clear examples of insider trading I've ever seen. And look at the chart. And this is a weekly chart on Nvidia zoomed out, but check this out. A lot of people expecting this just to keep falling. But I think, this is just me. This is one of the things I wanted to talk about. I think this chart will be very helpful in identifying markets in general. And when markets finally do bottom, what if capitulation happens, what that looks like. I think this chart will be very helpful in doing that, right? So going to keep an eye on the Nvidia chart, going to keep an eye obviously on S&P 500 chart, and also one of my favorites, I think, in environments like this, as we're going into rate cuts and unknown and people are really expecting really bad things, is the fear and greed index. So you can just see on the weekly, this is a weekly, by the way, you can see we've put in a really strong weekly candle so far, 2 days, 20 hours left, above that 200 week moving average. But what I really wanted to point out, and by the way, I want to say something. We're going to get to this chart. This is the Bitcoin chart. I would not be surprised if all of this just flips and turns around within a matter of days, and then all of a sudden everybody's bullish again. I would not be surprised. Not only welcome to crypto, but welcome to the insanely emotional world of trading that we live in. So I just want to say that. But in this case, where we get a short to midterm negative reaction because of rate cuts, right? And even in an environment like this, I saw this today. Citi expects Fed to cut 50 points in September, followed by another 50 points in November. Even if that happens, the market and you'll see comments on this post, the market would react probably pretty negatively to that because it will basically spook the markets, because people will be like, man, they're doing this because they're expecting this to get so bad. And if this were to happen, and if this were to really freak out the markets, that could send markets, I think, into, if we look at the volatility index over here, that could shoot these fear candles parabolic. And that's the thing that I'd be watching for, is entering anywhere in this range to the upper range. And this is COVID back here, just to give you an idea. And if you remember, the capitulation happened right here, and that was the bottom. So if the rate talks, if things come out that they're going to lower rates 50 points and things get scary and markets react really negatively, I think it could be a very quick event. I'm not saying like a day, but it could be quicker than most people think. And this is something I've been talking about. The data is compelling. 86% of the time, the S&P 500 index posted positive returns 12 months after the initial rate cut. Rate cut is going to start happening very soon, right? We're going to get the news. Rate cut happens. Don't forget, it's an election year. And this is just my opinion, but we have Trump versus Harris. I saw this post, Kamala Harris likely to nominate Gary Gensler as Treasury Secretary if elected. We have this one, Kamala Harris favors attacks on unrealized capital gains. These aren't bullish things. I don't think the markets would like this. If Trump were to win, as market is maybe correcting to rate cuts and correcting to all of this unknown that's in the environment, I think very quickly, it's September now, in November, very quickly, that could be a case for the fear index to kind of get overextended. It could be the case where we see Nvidia falling, the S&P 500 falling, but getting ready to bottom out, and the correction, whatever it is, if it happens, right? Maybe we go higher, but I'm just saying if it happens, it might not be this terrible, long-lasting thing. And I'm not trying to, this isn't me coping. But this is really me evaluating data and thinking a little bit longer term than the short-term fear that I am seeing. And a lot of it does have to do with, of the 14 rate cycles since 1929, 12 of them, of the 14, 12 saw positive S&P 500 returns for the 12-month period following the first rate cut. I think the market could actually be very resilient, even if there's going to be short-term, mid-term pain. And that's an if, right? So, because like I mentioned, even on the short term, it wouldn't even surprise me if things all of a sudden just everybody's bullish again, right? So let's see. We have to wait for all of this to play out, especially with the rate cut news and all that good stuff. But we go to the charts, and here's really what I want to really talk about. Zoom out on the charts. I started the total crypto market cap chart, zoomed in on the 4-hour. It's fear. Everybody's seeing red everywhere, and I get it. I don't like it. I'm not going to stand here and say that this is enjoyable to me. But if I go and I look at the weekly chart, zoom out, I start getting a little bit of a different picture. Even the midterm consolidation that the total crypto market cap is in right now, you can see what I'm talking about is this falling wedge, right? Bitcoin is in a similar one on the daily. We've been tracking it. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But if you just zoom out and you're looking at this, even still, if we fall into this very kind of downward environment, and I think I talked about this a little bit yesterday. If we fall, I talked about the super cycle. And what I mean by super cycle is just this cycle, and I think this is what people in general mean, this cycle just lasting longer. And that could be an environment where even for weeks, we're falling lower. And the total crypto market cap is putting in some type of higher low. The fear is crazy. We're at $1.5 trillion market cap. Everybody's like, it's over. We're entering a bear market. And at the same time, while that's happening, what's really happening is potentially we're not entering a bear market. And we're actually just in a super cycle, meaning a long-term higher low somewhere. Here is, historically, this purple line is altcoin season. When it starts, maybe that's capitulation season, maybe that's higher low season, right? I don't know. But what I'm saying is this could be the environment where people get shaken out, markets start turning around, going into 2025, and then we're in this super cycle that goes into 2026, as we talked about in yesterday's video. But at the end of the day, everybody, I'm speculating like crazy about what could happen. This is why I do technical analysis, because again, and we've been here so many times, if you've been watching my videos for years, we've been here so many times where, I don't know, some crazy headline is happening. And just zoom out from last to last all-time highs. There have been many crazy headlines. We have every step of the way used the charts to just put aside the headlines, put aside the fear headlines or the hype headlines, unemotionally look at the charts. Yes, things can trigger things, right? We can get bad news that triggers a breakout to the downside, but then we just look for the target to the downside, right? And then we wait to see what happens there. And that could form the kind of reversal that we're looking for. Or we get some type of news that brings us to the upside. And then we get a breakout to the upside. Well, we put aside the headline news. It was a trigger event that kind of pushed us into that direction. But either way, we look at the structure on the screen and we go by that. Because at the end of the day, these charts that we're looking at, which is a bunch of red and green candles, this is people. These are human beings making emotional decisions behind the charts. There's a lot of manipulation behind the charts. But I will say one thing, People are very consistent. And that's why we see so many patterns. And sometimes it just seems like, how did that happen just like that? And it's just because people are very consistent. People are people of habits, right? So long story short, we're in this structure. We have to wait to see what happens. If you go to Bitcoin, we get a really good picture of it. Everything that's going on right now, you're going to see all of these fear headlines and all of the speculation in comments all over the place, or speculation in my own videos. All of it, it's just like, and still nothing has happened in terms of Bitcoin structure that we have on the screen. That's what's crazy to me, is when I zoom out on this daily chart, we're still just like in the middle of this falling pattern of lower lows and lower highs. Bitcoin's still consolidating. I mean, we were just here not long ago capitulating through the lower trend line at the beginning of August, around a month ago, and then we bounced and everybody was bullish again. This is why I say on the short term, like something like that could happen again, right? We just capitulate, we go lower, put in a lower low in the 40s, and then all of a sudden it's bouncing. And if we start looking even at indicators, that could be an environment where we get some bullish divergence even on the daily chart, right? So these are things I just want to sit and watch, because I can't sit here and speculate on, first off, the news, right? We don't know exactly what news is going to be dropping. We don't know exactly what the Fed will do. And we also just can't speculate on people's emotions and how they're going to react. But what we can do is we can look at these indicators that have time and time again been so solid in just kind of allowing us to anticipate things. So say we're back here anticipating, hey, maybe we visit the trend line to the upside or to the downside, right? In the same way, we're sitting here again saying, hey, we can anticipate another move to the lower trend line, lower 50s, or we can continue watching to see if we get a bounce into the moving averages and see what Bitcoin does. And that's all I'm doing. It's just short-term technical analysis that keeps my mind kind of in check and mentally just prepared for all scenarios, because at the end of the day, nobody knows what's going to happen next. We zoom out on a Bitcoin chart. I'll say it again. Same as the total crypto market cap chart. Crypto could fall right now, and we're still in this upward macro, higher high, higher low environment. If people get out of these markets because of fear, and I'm talking about Bitcoin, I'm talking about S&P 500, I'm talking about Nvidia, I'm talking about this fear and greed index goes crazy and we're in high fear. If people start getting out of the market, that will be the time probably when the bottom is in and we bounce. And so I know this is a very like downward price action focused video, but I can't not do a video on downward, because guess what? We're falling. And I know that's what everybody's thinking about right now. Nobody's thinking bullish right now. I'm sure many of you are macro bullish like I am. And I think many of you see what I see on the charts. But right now it's short-term fear. We're falling. These are just some of my thoughts. It's very hard because there's so many moving parts to all of this. As you can see, there's so many different charts. There's so many different historical data points to just kind of bring into some type of opinion. But that's also why I just say, you know what? Let's just wait. Let's just see. If you look at this chart, for instance, this is the Bitcoin chart. Maybe it'll be a little bit helpful. But if we're looking at this, we're looking at like the lower 40s as a target out of this pattern, and that's in play. Okay. So if that happens, this is what the daily chart would look like, and can't guarantee anything, but I'm quite sure if this move happens, Bitcoin and crypto will be so oversold, capitulating, and there will be so much money buying that dip for a crazy bounce. So only time will tell how this plays out, everybody, but these are some of my thoughts tonight as crypto falls. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I appreciate you hanging out there. Enjoy your night. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, turn notifications on. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.